In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the greatest hardship to overcome that everyone has once dealt with already: themselves. This episode also kind of goes in line with the previous episode, but we'll get there, you'll see. Anyways, quote goes like this: "Know that you are your greatest enemy, but also your greatest friend," by Jeremy Taylor. Everyone has probably heard this quote at some point, or something like this quote. But let's talk about what this actually means and how negative it can be for your life. To start, let's talk about what it means to conquer yourself. I like to think of it like this: your brain thinks that it's smarter than you. And because your brain thinks that it's smarter than you, you become a passenger to your own life, with your brain at the steering wheel. Something you have to learn about your brain is that your brain loves routine. It loves consistency. But more than anything, your brain loves comfortability. It wants you to feel good. That's its main objective. Remember that. But the problem with these things is that they're not always the best for us. It's not always the best option, what's best for us, right? Think about a time where you did something that made you happy, that made you excited. Your brain processes these things, but it doesn't actually see them. Your brain doesn't know what's actually going on. It's just taking in information and recognizing the changes in behavior or the changes in emotion. It's like a computer, or it's like ChatGPT AI, whatever, something like that, right? You get it. A computer can't see anything. It just takes in information and then reciprocates that information based on what you put into it. And this is why addiction is a big problem. Your brain doesn't see what you're addicted to, and frankly, it doesn't really care. All your brain knows is that whatever it is that you're doing is enjoyable, and that's where the dopamine comes from, right? Dopamine is the reward chemical in your brain. When you're happy or when you're enjoying something, your brain rewards you so that you do it again. And when you go a time without it, that's when your brain creates stress. Yes, it creates stress. It creates a craving or a desire so that you do it again, so that you're rewarded again with the dopamine. And then it just goes in a circle, right? But does that sound familiar? Because it should. It should sound familiar. Because remember what I said about routine. The brain loves routine. It loves trapping you in patterns. Dopamine is exactly what gets you into a routine. This is what I mean when I talked about being a passenger in your own life. You get so caught up in your routine and that dopamine cycle that the brain creates that you yourself are just idle. You're just watching. The brain is driving you everywhere. It's like your pilot on a plane. It's your driving force, and you're just left sitting in the back seat staring out the window. That's what you're doing. But we know it to be true that not all addiction is good, and a lot of it is bad. Chemical addiction is one thing, drugs, alcohol, whatever. You guys already know the story. You guys already know that one. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about behavioral addiction. The definition of behavioral addiction goes like this, and pay attention. You might want to write this down or something because I'm literally going to blow your mind, okay? Behavioral addiction refers to compulsive behaviors. These are persistent, repeated behaviors that you carry out, wait for it, even if they don't offer any real benefit. Instantly, this goes back to episode 2 on forgiveness, where I talk about how it makes zero sense as to why people don't forgive. It's not logical. Because remember what I said in the definition of behavioral addiction. Repeated behaviors that you carry out even if they don't offer any real benefit. This is literally just talking about routine. The reason people don't forgive is because it's a part of their routine. Part of the reason people are judgmental. Part of the reason people gossip. Part of the reason people are even racist is because it's a part of their routine. It's all connected. But don't forget the quote. Do not forget the quote. Know that you are your greatest enemy, but also your greatest friend. All it takes is recognition and discipline. This podcast is all about recognition. It's all about identifying what needs to be changed. But then it's up to you to take control of your life. Remember, I can't give you discipline. You got to do that on your own. If you can take away one thing from this episode, then this is it. Don't let your brain drive the car all the time. Don't let your brain fly the plane all the time. Don't be a passenger. Be the pilot. Be the driver until you can change your routine to something you can be proud of. Only then can you let your brain drive you around because your routine is set. Remember that I said that your brain is the driving force of the body. It's telling you, it's constantly telling you, no, this is what we're doing. No, we're not going to go over there. We're not going to do this. This is what works. This is the routine. I know that this works. I'm the brain. I have the routine, right? Your brain is it's like the good enough solution to everything you do. The quote unquote good enough solution. But we as human beings know that good enough isn't enough sometimes. As human beings, we know that we can do better. So do better. Take my words to heart. Recognize your addictions in this life and change them for the better. Remember to subscribe for future episodes, and as always, have a good rest of your day. Thank you for listening.